Welcome to Travel Market Life, your companion for industry insights and professional business development. Travel Market Life. Join us by webcast, video or podcast.
Hello, well, welcome back to Travel Market Life. I'm your host, Ryan Haynes, and in today's episode, we're going to be looking at design hotels and the importance of hotel technology. There's an abundance of hotel collections around the world, many created by those passionate by a certain theme, whether it's luxury, independent, eco, spa and wellness, or design. In this episode, we speak to Simon Swatlik, the Director of Commercial Strategy and Analytics at Design Hotels, to discuss the trends in hotel collections, the development of the design hotel category, the importance of tech, and digitalising experiences.
Travel Market Life.
Hello, and I'm welcomed now by Simon Swatlik, Director of Commercial Strategy and Analytics to Design Hotels. Hi there, Simon. Thanks again for joining me.
Hey,
you
Ryan.
and I had the opportunity. How are things going? Yeah.
Very well. Thanks a lot. How are you doing?
All very well, thank you very much. Now, you and I actually had an opportunity to have a good conversation at the International Hotel Technology Forum in March in Vienna this year and look at some of the developments that are happening across the industry, particularly from a technology and digitalization standpoint. And in particular, you know, there was quite a few bit of representation from hotel collections. Now, as I said at the beginning, there's a lot more of defined hotel collections. It seems to be a bit of a trend today. And I know that design hotels has been growing as well. So, you know, why is there such a trend for such specific hotel collections?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think we observe that too. So I think people are really primarily looking for reaching larger audiences. So I think often what we see in our conversations is especially new build properties as well, which are extremely design focused, or even in remote locations, right? So we have some new hotels in like the new destination called Zumba, or like quite remote destinations in Mexico, which you wouldn't just find by yourself often. So I think a lot of our hoteliers are looking for that additional exposure, reaching different audiences and communities that they won't be able to reach otherwise. And in addition to that, of course, people also like to be taken by the hand a little bit, because in our case, we also have people that are not hoteliers by training and coming from different industries. And that's why there's a large piece of us also hand-holding that on from a technology perspective, helping them with these types of setups, distributing them to different channels, and also from a sales perspective, so also connecting them with other travel influencers or travel agents across the globe. So there's a possibility for hoteliers to meet people around the world, from, you know, let's say LA, New York to European destinations or Asia, to meet relevant people that they can present their products to. So that's of course helpful for them too.
And obviously, you've got to be tapping into that consumer interest there, and the sort of experience they're looking to have. And I guess architecturally as well, that experience within a hotel can be particularly unique, especially for the type of designs that you can get. Are you seeing a lot more investment and a lot more consideration there from actual investors, hotel investors, to really going for these more unique concepts today?
Yeah, exactly. I think we do see that a lot, and that makes it almost harder to differentiate for us, right? Because we, I think somebody in our portfolio team who looks after was trying to acquire new members as well, is said that there's a lot of cute hotels, things that are having, you know, interesting looking or modern design and modern furniture, but it's actually, for us, it goes a bit further. There's really supposed to be a character within the hotel that primarily is driven by the owner behind the concept and creating a very unique concept, instead of just having some pretty furniture. And that's, I think, what people also feel when they book a design hotel. That's also a bit of an expectation that there's a bit more and more edge to it than just being pretty or modern like that from an architectural perspective.
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a closer look then on the design hotel side. You know, what sort of trends you're seeing. I mean, you obviously we sort of have the interest from consumers and what sort of experiences they're looking from a design hotel. But then we obviously have those developments that are on the horizon. You know, what are the new design aspects that are really going to be coming out and are going to be part of the industry over the next coming years?
Yeah, I think we're looking more at the CRM piece and looking at guest data, which of course is a big topic, but I think that has changed a little bit. While revenue management, it feels people have been talking about that piece a lot. That real guest data piece is at least more interest even for a smaller boutique or medium-sized hotel, which hasn't been the case before, and where I think people were just sending out, let's say, blast emails to their consumers. There's more of a appetite or interest to understand consumers better and capture data in a more segmented way to be able to have more targeted communication, then even expanding that to the different channels that you can use. And is it just only email, or how do you piece that together with other communication forms to WhatsApp or other chat functionalities and guest communication pieces, and bring that together.
Does that mean that sort of like beyond sort of like just how the hotel looks, that a design hotels really need to be crafting the experience, the digital experience in that as well, that the infrastructure, the architecture, so to speak, is not just sort of like how it physically looks, but how you're digitally engaging?
Yeah, so I think we sometimes also in a strange way might be like go against the grain from that perspective. While we I think want to have a really great digital experience, almost, or very, not great, but a digital experience per se prior to arrival, then it's often, I think, almost an appetite. When do we take tech away in terms of a digital detox of when you take away the digital piece in the guest stay, right? So I have one example where there was a French hotel which was recreating the hotel experience of the French Riviera of the 50s, right? So of course there you maybe want to take away the text message how you stay is or when the yoga class is, and you want to rather send a postcard that the sailing trip is at 10 a.m. So it's funny to also think about when is there going to be this tipping point where people are like, well, actually I just want to put my phone away, and I don't want this piece in that experience like that. And I don't say that I say that as a person that loves tech and looking at how we can optimize and streamline everything from that perspective. But it's also interesting to think about, when are we deliberately not putting it in there? And I think that's something that crossed our mind as well, and especially for the experience, that's probably going to be a cool and interesting thing to consider as well.
That's really interesting when you say that. I mean, it hadn't really crossed my mind, in all honesty with you, Simon, that you might have, a cutting edge, innovative, architecturally designed hotel next to a 1940s sort of hotel experience. I mean, they're both design. They're both sort of breathing the same sort of theme around sort of that visual and personal experience you can get in the hotel. But obviously, the way that you deliver that, you need to be looking in deep down into, so what as a hotel do you want to stand for, what does your design stand for, and what do those experiences you want to be delivering to your guests.
The architectural piece and the creation piece is more of an artistic drive that we have, and less of a digital drive, I think I would say. And then, but to enable that, the digital piece is interesting, especially in the automation piece and streamlining the operations in the back of house, that type of thing. And of course, also the more digitalized the pre-check-in is, the more experiential the check-in can be, because you don't have to hand over your passport and type in this and sign here and sign that. So the more you can remove that, of course, the cooler you can create that non-administrative aspect of things as well. So there is, of course, pieces where the digitalization and the technology can assist that like that. But I don't think it's just blanket always tech is better. It's also being like, oh, maybe we should take it away sometimes too, is what I'm pointing in on.
Yeah, really go down into the principles and values of the property. What do you stand for, and what is that guest experience? And will it add, or will it actually take that experience or that feeling you want them to leave with away? And obviously you don't want that. You need them to take that feeling away with them, and to be sharing that in a positive way, whether that's through reviews or with their family and friends at home. I mean, you've talked about the role of tech, and particularly the importance of data and CRM. But I guess that the big challenge for a lot of hoteliers, because you're working with independents, there'll be smaller properties right through to, I guess, larger resorts. It's really about defining the type of tech stack that you want and the partners that you want to work with. We mentioned just before we came on to record that there's such vast differences in firstly where properties are in the tech stack evolution, but also the type of tech partners that they could work with. What sort of consultation do you have with your hotel partners around identifying right partners and trying to build a tech stack that's going to be relevant for that particular property?
I think that it does start with looking at the basic functionalities, or at least that's where my head is at the moment in the PMS piece, and how to build around that, and allowing the flexibility in there, and also reducing the cost through these open API structures that really enabled even to think about, installing a CRM solution, because often previously the interface was more expensive than the actual, third-party tool that you maybe want to use for a CRM solution. So definitely the PMS piece with the open API has opened up that box to even start playing with that for the smaller independent space, which was often otherwise going to be too expensive to even play. And the struggle actually when I got concrete with these things is and I just felt like also many of these PMS vendors would be like, yeah, of course, we serve the whole world, but that's really not the case, right? So there's of course the few more legacy vendors that really serve primarily most of the globe, because I think they have to cater to the big chains there. But often with the newer players, that's really not so much the case, because we have these tricky ones. I mean, there's the Montenegros and Vietnam and a couple of like difficult countries where that gets quite where they won't be able to handle. And I mean, we don't have to go so far. Like Greece, for example, has like difficult, police forms that you need to fill in or send like every single invoice to the government, which not every PMS wants to deal with anymore, because that's really hard to keep up with these governmental changes. And Italy, so it's not even like two crazy destinations where you have to, I think there's Istat is this thing that's called, where you have special police reporting within every state of Italy. It's not like Italy by itself. It's Umbria does it differently than, so it gets more hard than you think when you think like, oh, I'll just use this one vendor that we really like. It's like, oh my God, like, and we've really ran into a lot of like roadblocks with these types of things like that, even though it seems like, well, you just choose one of those open API guys and you're done like that. That's not my experience at the moment.
Yeah, no, I've heard something similar. In relation to taxes, local tourist taxes. I think it's in Spain. I might be wrong with that. Anybody who's listening and has an answer for me, please comment. But I think that they have maybe different taxes, or the way they collect their tourist taxes are different in different places, and so obviously some of them you need to pay them as the guest arrives, and obviously you need that API in place. So I'm not surprised that some of the time it's just better to have a look at your regional providers and those that have the open APIs and specialize in understanding what those requirements are, because you say you need to abide by the laws, the taxes, and all the other policies and regulations in every country.
Exactly. I think that's where I end up now as well in that sense. And so, yeah, we always have to connect to one CRS. So that's why we make sure that those vendors then, work in tandem there as well. Or we have interfaces to that CRS. But yeah, I think that's the right way to go to look at the local stuff, because it's also the policing stuff about how much can you save the passport or you should not, or like, I mean, there's like, it varies so fast, like in so many countries, and it's hard to, as you said, like we have 60 countries, I think, and 300 hotels. So I actually didn't expect it, because it was going to get so complicated, actually. Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the time, when people enter the hotel industry, they suddenly realize how many different property management systems there are around the world, and how different some of the policies are across different continents and countries. And one of the things that we sort of noted at IHTF as well was a disparity in the digital adoption within the hotel industry. How you've got some of those, may even be a small proportion of hoteliers that are really early adopters of innovative cloud-based technologies that have a full digital tech stack, and then obviously those with the legacy providers that are sort of limping along, waiting for either the PMS to be off-site and in the cloud, or still waiting for the property management system to be accessible to other apps and systems. And you said that I guess, firstly, it's essential is to really look at your property management system, identify what your needs are. But above and beyond the property management system, you mentioned a CRM. Are there any other sort of like essentials that hotels need to be thinking about in their journey to developing their tech stack and digitalizing some of their processes?
That it's still step by step, and I've heard people say that now when you do many of those yourself, you kind of see that it's like you can't do like CRM, RMS, like, you know, heating or like automated door locks like at the same time. It's really a step by step process. I think that needs to like project manage, because it's not just flipping a switch in all these cases. It's always more work that you need to really work through in that case.
So really taking that time to have a look at your entire tech stack, build a plan of action, and then setting those priorities one by one, and working closely with your vendors to make sure they're able to help you with meeting the needs of the hotel, but as we just mentioned, also the other policies.
But that's a good point. I don't know if that is really what is happening. So that might be interesting as well to reconsider, because I think you're often left alone and as a hotelier, I think, to do that work yourself, and you need to go and find, I think, people who've done these transitions for you like that in advance, to be able to even, you know, anticipate the pitfalls in that context, and you don't get it from the vendors that are, of course, rightly trying to sell their products. But it's I don't think the vendors are often, and probably want to look at the PMS side to help build that whole stack for the hotel then, or they could, I think, deliver more.
Really final question I'd love to hear from you is some of these design hotel properties that you've got coming onto your books at designhotels.com. Are there any sort of particularly unique features or aspects of the actual physical property itself that you are starting to see as a trend, in particular sort of types of furniture, eco design, or smart room technology? What sort of features within design hotels that are really piquing consumers and guest interest?
Where our focus is at Design Hotels is, or from a consumer perspective, we see a lot of talk and focus from us for the sustainability piece. So that's of course key to us, because we did observe that that the traveler is looking for sustainable experiences in the world, and that there's a different type of travel. And I think because when we say sustainable, it's kind of everyone's covering that piece somehow, but it's also purposeful travel as a new trend that we're seeing, that people don't just want to go somewhere and kind of harvest the experience from the destination, but also what people can bring to the destination. How that translates into the architecture is more of how the hotels are being built, integrating with the local communities, either supporting the local communities, also from a sustainability perspective in terms of, you know, adding them as employees, training people on property. That's what we're seeing.
Excellent. Simon, thank you ever so much for that. And it's really insightful to learn a bit more about design hotels and some of the challenges that you see around hotel tech stack and digitalization in the industry.
Thank you.
So that was Simon Swatalik, the Director of Commercial Strategy and Analytics at Design Hotels. Absolutely fascinating when you think about the array of types of design hotels and what they can be there and the types of experiences they can deliver to guests. So for more information, check out our other podcasts on travelmarket.life. And we'll be following up this episode to explore more of the trends around hotel technology at different types of hotel collections, as well as how different types of tech is actually being deployed with independent, small groups and large chain hotels. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Ryan Haynes. Ciao for now.
For more, go to Travel Market Life. The music Sensation by Zach Nelson is reproduced under license from Storyblocks. Travel Market Life is a Haynes Marcoms digital marketing agency production, serving the travel and technology industries.